Hi everyone and welcome to another Heroes of the Grid Ranger video. Today I'm going to be talking about the second member of the team that I used recently, and that will be Tyler Navarro, the Dino Charge Red Ranger. Now, Tyler's deck has the standard deck layout of 3 3-shield cards, 4 2-shield cards, and 3 1-shield cards. And jumping right in, the first card we're going to cover is Tyler's character card. It's about to get wild. Its ability says once per battle, at the start of any ranger turn, any ranger may draw 2 cards. If they do, add 2 dice to the next attack that ranger performs during that turn. So a couple of things that are important to note here is that it must be used at the start of a ranger turn. Like it says, it can be any ranger turn. That ranger has to draw 2 cards. It can't be 1 card, it can't be 0 cards. They have to draw 2. Afterwards, then the next attack that they perform, that range, the one who drew the cards, performs, they add 2 dice to that attack. So let's say if Rebel Ranger Slayer decide to draw the cards, Tyler can't. If he plays the next attack card, then he doesn't get the extra 2 dice. It has to be the next attack card that the Rebel Ranger Slayer plays. Now the attack doesn't have to be an attack card per se. If there's a reaction or maneuver that's ability says perform an attack with such and such dice, then this card would also kick in and add 2 dice to that attack. The first card in his combat deck is going to be Forward Motion. It's a 0-cost reaction card with 2 shields for defense. Its ability says play this card when another ranger performs an attack. Before they roll, draw 1 card, gain 1 energy, and add 1 die to that attack. So this is a pretty kind of all-encompassing type of card. Just keep in mind that it has to be another ranger that's performing an attack. It can't be Tyler himself. And Tyler's the one who has to draw the card. He gains the energy. The energy, it goes to the shared pool, the energy that you gain, so it's not really important. And then you add 1 die to whatever attack that the other ranger is performing. Good card. Of course, and you'll kind of notice this in Tyler's deck, that his deck has a lot of cards that let you potentially draw. And with a card like Forward Motion, you have to be careful because if you run out of cards from your deck while using this card, then you're defeated. And if you don't have any more energy tokens left in the command center, then you lose the game. So you have to be very careful with this. Use it strategically. Don't just use it the first chance you get, because it may not be worth it. It may end up biting you in the butt later. Okay, moving on. The next card in his deck is Final Strike. A 0-cost, 2 dice attack with 3 shields for defense. Its ability says if you have already used your once per battle ability during this battle, add 1 die to this attack. Now notice that it says your once per battle ability, so you have to use It's About to Get Wild, and he's the only one who can take advantage of this effect, basically, because it's not if any ranger has used their once per battle ability, it's only if you have already used your once per battle ability. And as I mentioned before, with Forward Motion, Tyler's It's About to Get Wild forces another ranger to draw 2 cards, so if that other ranger runs out of cards in their deck, they're defeated. So Tyler's somebody you have to use very, very strategically, and hope that you don't end up shooting yourself in the foot later because of his ability. But yeah, adding 1 die to this attack, it's good. So, if you were to use Tyler's ability at the very start of a battle to have a ranger draw 2 cards, maybe they decide to only draw 3 when the battle started, and then you use Tyler's to have them draw 2 cards to get to their hand size of 5, then you're kind of, how you normally would be. So you can take advantage of Final Strike during the rest of that battle. Like I said, there are ways to use its ability without putting yourself in too much danger. And next is Wild Punch, a 1-cost, 3 dice attack card with 2 shields for defense. Its ability says after you resolve this attack, you may place up to 2 cards from your hand on top of your deck. Gain 1 energy for each card. So this is a way to potentially, save yourself from decking out. Let's say there's a big attack coming up, and you have let's say 2 Final Strikes in your hand, and this attack's going to knock you out with what you have left in your deck. So you play Wild Punch, add both Final Strikes back to top of your deck, so you can survive the next attack, and you gain 1 energy for both of them. Now notice it says you may play up to 2 cards, so you can play 1 card, put 1 card back on top of your deck if you want instead of 2, or you can do 0. If you use this card well enough, you can basically have a net gain of energy for the turn you play it. And if nothing else, it's a 3 dice attack for 1 energy, the standard, so it's still a good attack card regardless of whether you use its ability or not. Next is going to be Go For It. It's a 0-cost maneuver card with 1 shield for defense. Its ability says another ranger may immediately play 1 attack card. They may ignore the guard keyword or reroll any number of dice during that attack. If you have already used your once per battle ability during this battle, they may do both. Now, as you know, it says right from the get-go, another ranger has to play an attack card after you play this one. So Tyler can't play an attack card. And you can either ignore the guard keyword or reroll any number of dice. Remember, it says if you have already used your once per battle. So if Tyler's used his about to get wild ability, then the ranger who's performing the attack can both ignore the guard keyword and reroll any number of dice. So there's a lot of kind of moving pieces. You have to really pay attention to who's doing what with Tyler's deck. But hey, even if you only use one of the abilities, being able to ignore the guard keyword is both of them are actually really good effects. Based on the situation, ignoring the guard keyword might be better than rerolling a number of dice. For me, personally, I would almost always choose rerolling any number of dice, unless I had to attack a card that's being guarded. If you can use both abilities, I consider this one of the best cards in the game. Okay, the next card in Tyler's deck is Dino Saber. It's a 1-cost, 3 damage attack with 1 shield for defense. Its ability says any ranger may draw 1 card. If they do, you may ignore the guard keyword when choosing a target for this attack. The guaranteed 3 damage is fantastic because that'll take out most foot soldiers, and usually that's at least half health for just about every monster enemy card that there is. The ranger doesn't have to draw a card if they want, but if they do, they have to draw 1 card. But yeah, I mean, this is a really good card, and drawing 1 card probably won't hurt your deck too much. So I'd say this is one of the safer cards to play in his deck, especially for guaranteed 3 damage. Now, finally, we'll move on to his power weapon, which is the T-Rex Smasher. It's a 2-cost, 3-dice attack with 3 shields for defense. Its ability says the next time any ranger performs an attack during this battle, add 2 dice to that attack. So this is actually very reminiscent of the Power Sword that Jason had from the base game. Now, of course, the trade-off is that, well, the Power Sword rolls 5 dice. It costs 3 energy to do so, whereas the T-Rex Smasher only rolls 3 dice, but you only pay 2 energy. So it's the trade-off. You pay less energy for a weaker attack, but you still get the same add 2 dice to the next attack ability that the Power Sword provides. And I can see the benefits of doing that, especially if you're able to add dice to this attack. You can bring it up to 5 dice, just like the Power Sword, and you only pay 2 to do it. And it's, again, the next time any ranger performs an attack. All right, moving on to Tyler's Zord, it's the T-Rex Zord. Its ability says, exhaust this card after any ranger resolves an attack. If that attack did not defeat the target, roll 2 dice and deal that much damage to the target. Well, it actually says deal that many damage to the target, but same thing. So this is a great card to play if you got 1 blank roll and you needed that 1 extra hit. You get another chance to roll 2 dice and deal the damage to an enemy target. So you have to be attacking the same target that you chose when you initially played a card. You have to choose the same target that you were attacking before. You can't roll 2 dice and choose something else. It's a good card. Not necessarily my favorite Zord especially when it comes to Red Rangers. I mean, it's still a good one. I think it kind of works well with Rebel Ranger Slayer in the sense that it's something that you kind of play after, in case you screw it up somehow, you get another chance to do some additional damage. So in that sense, it's always good to have a backup. Now, going into a more detailed breakdown of Tyler's deck, he has 2 copies of Final Strike, 2 copies of Forward Motion, 2 copies of Wild Punch, 2 copies of Go For It, 1 copy of Dino Saber, and 1 copy of T-Rex Smasher. And like I mentioned before, Tyler's playstyle, he is very much in terms of kind of manipulating his own deck, drawing cards, putting cards back on top of your deck, and then his kind of secondary one is playing around with his character ability, not only using it, just as once per battle like most rangers do, but if you end up using his once as it's about to get wild ability, then a couple of his other cards like Final Strike and Go For It both take advantage of the fact that you actually did use his character ability. So that's pretty cool, pretty nifty. I think there's another couple rangers who mess with that once per battle also, like if you use your character ability. Yeah, that's pretty much Tyler. I'll go into more detail as to how he performed in my ranger team once I cover them all together as one. But in the meantime, head on over to OnceARanger.com, check out the full card database, and I'll have affiliate links provided below. Thank you.